So let's go in. We're going to do this quickly. We try to do this at every meeting. I want you guys to see what a really high-level member, some of you, anytime you break the rooms apart into 9 different verticals or 9 different rooms here, and people are like, inevitably, not everybody gets exposed to what some of the most elite people are doing, right? Because you're not in that room with them. So this is a chance for everybody to see what somebody is doing at an elite level and see their hot seat. This is a straight up hot seat. I invite you that if you have feedback for Marcus to absolutely give it to him. But he is going to go through his presentation quickly, about 25 minutes. Then we will break and you will go into your rooms and do hot seats. Sound good? Yes? Yeah. All right, Marcus, you ready? You mic'd up? Yeah. All right, let's do this, bud.
All right, everybody hear me? Good?
Right, give him a round of applause.
Well, that was heavy, and now we get to talk about RV parks, so I feel a little intimidated here. So,
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much for timing that perfectly there. So starting off, Eddie asked me to do the hot seat last week, and I originally had my new CFO and partner, Nico, was going to do the hot seat with me, and I figured I wouldn't throw him to the wolves and put him up on stage with everybody on the very first go-round. So I want to introduce my new CFO and partner, Nico Porter. Everybody give Nico a hand. A lot of you guys have heard the journey with Nico and myself. We've been working together for a couple of years. He was interviewing me, I was interviewing him, and had a chance to, this is a guy that's been doing multifamily syndication since he was in college, like raising $1 million at 20 years old. And so wanted to get in the RV space. So I'm blessed to have Nico on my team. Don't let his baby face fool you. He's an absolute killer and just a killer at underwriting, modeling, and investor relations there. So Nico, I love you, brother. Diving in, guys. Starting off, who we are, what we do. Marcus Robbins, RV parks and mobile home parks. Been developing and acquiring RV and mobile home parks since 2012. So right at about 14 years there. It's important just to give you a little bit of context on how I started and my past, because it's completely different than most people that are in real estate, because I started off as a developer. I didn't know what in the hell I was doing, but I developed my first few properties there. So in 2012, I was in another business. I was really successful in that business throughout my 20s, making really good money, but it was highly transactional. I had my first son. I was 30 years old, and I noticed that I was working 80 hours a week. I was always on call. It was transactional, right? So I had to put in the work, and I had to make sure that my sales team was cranking out numbers every single month for me to still hit and make those good paychecks there. So wanted to get out of that business. I wanted to get into something that was definitely not passive, right? We understand real estate is not passive for the most part, but something that was more residual there. And I fell into the RV park space. I had never stayed in an RV, didn't know anything about RV parks, but I decided to buy some land, go all in, burn the ships, and develop my first park. On the first park, against conventional wisdom, the first park that I got into, I self-funded. And I think that's the important part of the story. That's also one of the best and the easiest parts about us raising capital now, is that my story is completely different because I've funded everything for the first 12 years of that growth. And so from 2012 to 2024, I developed a portfolio of 4 different properties. They're all self-funded. I took out a home equity loan. I sold the Porsche I was driving at the time in 2012, bought a $6,000 Chevy Tahoe, which is a big freaking difference, and literally borrowed money, ran those properties, and just the last on the context on the last stuff there is that I did everything on those properties for the first year and a half. I didn't have money to have somebody clear the land. I got a chainsaw and a buddy, and I'm not a handy guy. Like, again, I was working in an office, driving a Porsche, and now I'm running chainsaws because I only had a certain amount of capital to make this work. It was either success or bankruptcy. And so first year and a half, I mowed the grass, I answered the phones, I was a marketing team, I was the accounting team. I don't know shit about QuickBooks, but I figured it out pretty quickly. And so I did absolutely everything for the first year and a half. Fast forwarding between 12 and 18, I ended up executing and developing 4 properties. I was raised by a single mother, very humble upbringing. I was raised that all debt was bad debt, right? We all know that that's not the case, but I aggressively paid down debt, just wrapping this up, by the time 2021 hit, I had paid off all the debt on all the properties. So if my note was $6,000, I was pinching exactly what I needed to live, and I'd cut a check to the bank for $20,000. Looking back, probably a huge mistake, but it was a blessing because in 21, I ended up exiting the entire portfolio. Brokers were calling me, it was a great time to sell in 2021, exiting the portfolio, zero debt, and just this injection of capital. And once I received that injection of capital, it was a completely different story because now it was about how do I be a good steward to this capital? How do I not piss away everything that my blood, sweat, and tears for 12 years? And so I shifted into wealth preservation, hired a tax strategist, and that's really the first point in my career where I started seeking growth versus just being an operator. And it was really on the tax strategy side there. So we'll get more into this stuff later on, but that's just a bit on my history there. As far as what we do, RV parks and mobile home parks. I started off developing parks. It's just too slow for us for the level of scale that we're looking to achieve and having the next exit in 2029. And so our buy box is Texas Metros, 100 lots. That's a new criteria. We would flex on that in the past couple of years where we would go and get emotional and go, well, it's a great park, it's 70 lots, but that bullshit has stopped. So now it's like, it's 100 plus, that's all we'll touch. Major metros, we don't deal in anything outside of a major metro. We focus on a long-term RV park stay. Conventional wisdom, when people think about RV parks, they think about a short-term, you go to the beach, you go to the lake with your family. That's not our model. That's a very cyclical model, right? It's seasonal. And so with us, we go after a long-term stay, and I really don't have time to dig into all the tenant profile, but essentially it's retired folks, it's traveling nurses, it's transient workers, and it's people that go after like a minimalistic lifestyle. Lastly, we're going after fragmented asset classes, like many of you guys in here, fragmented assets. RV parks are one of the last out there that's still fragmented, right? Where you can still go to a mom and pop boomer. You can negotiate seller carry terms that I have on here. Our bread and butter, when rates were shit the past couple of years, we were clipping deals, and we were clipping deals at I think the lowest was 3%, but 3 to 5% interest, having them carry debt. And our model is to have them carry short-term debt, and because if you pitch an old person that you want to term something out 20 years, like the response they'll give you is, I will be dead by the time you pay this off. And so we'll do a 5 to 7 year balloon IO, so it really amplifies cash flow out of the gates there. Model is to hold for 4 years. We seek high historical occupancy. We're not operators that come out of the gates and we want to hit a grand slam or a home run. Many of you have bigger balls than I do in this room. We want something that's conservative, that we can go after an asset that is already producing well, high historical occupancy. And then the next point there, we can come in and we can utilize forced appreciation, flipping our switches. We're buying from operators that are not sophisticated. So we can come in there, very subjective to the asset itself, but in the RV park space, the OpEx ratio should be about 40 to 50%, depending on the asset. And so we're fine, like we have one under contract right now that's at 75%. And so we'll come in there, we'll automate, we'll flip switches, we'll optimize everything. And then lastly, obviously rents are always under market, so we'll go there. Our structure, and my challenges, we'll talk about this. It's currently and has been a 506C syndication, so with LP investors. Many of you guys in this room looking out here have invested in our deals. We appreciate you for that as well too. Our focus on the investors, just really the three main primary focuses would be, number one is immediate cash flow. With immediate cash flow, we're buying assets that already have a high historical occupancy, so it allows our investors, our LPs, to have immediate cash-on-cash return month one after closing out of the gates, and that will incrementally grow as we start flipping our switches, right? We're lowering the OpEx, we're increasing rents, and doing those things. Next one, obviously, is significant tax advantages. And so we obviously, our LPs will be able to take their pro rata share if if they have real estate professional status, where they can have that depreciation. So naturally, they have a choice to either put the money with us, or they can give the money to the IRS, right? And so naturally, they'll putting the money with us, offsetting those taxes, and then having upside as well too. Long-term appreciation was the last point. Long-term appreciation, we're buying in major metros. A lot of the stuff, and the reason we buy in major metros, is there's also a land banking play to this model. a lot of these, when we exit in 5 years, we might not be exiting as an RV park that's going to trade on a cap rate. We'll be exiting the dirt itself, right? Like a park we have under contract 45 minutes from here right now that will close. That was fully funded in about a week. That one, I mean, the land alone is worth a couple of $1 million more than what we're paying for the park today. And so, again, going back to dealing with boomers and, that unsophisticated group there where they're just looking at selling the business. Timeline quickly, I've got to blaze through this stuff here. With a timeline, I joined Boardroom in 2024, had never raised capital, was looking to, dip my toes in the water, start raising capital there. Really right after that June of 24, we closed $9 million in the next couple of months. I'm gonna have to rush through this because of time. Hired Kent as a CEO coach, then joined Billionaire Group as well too. I hired Kent because I wanted to build now with the exit in mind because we're scaling to exit in 2029, and Kent obviously was a huge part of that, setting everything up there. Next, in Napa, I gave a presentation on our growth in that 5-year plan and what we wanted to get to. Our projections for the first year was going to be 2 parks, $15 to $20 million. We're currently going to be at $29 million, just the second part of this year that will actually close. And so year-over-year growth, 222%. We've got the level of parks. People always ask me, well, what size, how many units, how much are they? You've got the top line, right, 8, 9, 5, and equity that we're raising, and the lot count alone there. This one on the right is a Class A asset that we're about to launch next week. It's a Class A asset. They spent over $11 million developing it a year and a half ago, and we have it under contract for $9 million. We offered them $13 million a year ago. They came to us. They have adjustable debt, and their debt is coming due. They signed on our 9. I'm blazing through this high-level numbers. This is my projection here. We've got stuff under contract that we're going to be closing and stuff already closing here. On the right, you'll see the trajectory of the goals. This is not shit that I think is going to happen. This is like absolutely, without a doubt, going to happen. The growth is 5, 7, 9, 11 as far as volume on parks closed every year. And so what this will break out to on an exit, $362 million portfolio value. And then you've got the, after debt, just high-level returns there, $158 million. LP is $95 million, GP would be $63 million. Cash flow-wise, I'm a big cash flow guy, and so with cash flow here, we've got our existing portfolio, but then our LP cash flow would be $9 million annually and $6 million for the GP there annually. Lastly, just the last meeting that I was at was Dallas and Charlotte. I was actually out of town. These were the thrusts that I gave and said that I wanted to hit by the time I came to my next quarterly there, so I was doing some co-GP deals because 2024 was the first time I ever raised outside capital. And so since I didn't have all the investor relations and the back end set up, I would do like a co-GP, like Nico was a co-GP with me. And one of the thrusts after literally a couple of months of being in Boardroom, I said, well, that's not the answer, right? I need to run in my own direction. So scratch that. We got rid of the co-GP structure, brought Nico in. Next was building real organizational value. So building out with the exit in mind, not just building out real estate, but building out every company around that. So our acquisitions company, our management company, our holdings company, our GC company, which will all trade on a multiple outside of the cap rate that the parks will trade on themselves. Hiring up, right? So we hired a high-level director of operations. That's one thing that I said I need to do. I stopped screwing around, stopped being a tight ass, stopped trying to train people up. Hired team architects. They put 3 to 4 people in front of me, and we hired a complete rock star, which our intent is to have them as our VP of operations there. Challenges.
So you get your sticker.
Oh, thank you, sir. I was trying to blaze through. Thanks, sir. I appreciate it. Looks like they gave me some more time. I was like trying to haul ass through everything because I was running out of time here. What's that? Okay, so as far as challenges go, I want to start off with the capital stuff. We've been cranking on capital, but I still want to dive into that. The top one here is what I'd love you guys to pour into me. Any of you guys that have really scaled a large operation, whether that be self-storage, that be multifamily, and where you've gone out of state to scale. I know for some of you, especially in multifamily, you're like, well, dude, that's just the thing you do. But you have to remember, all I've ever done is play with my own money. And so I'm extremely conservative now that we also have LP investors involved that if shit's hitting the fan, that I can't get in my car and drive and put out a fire if need be, that I can move that needle. And so I wanted to get some advice about, identifying a market. Naturally, Nico and I are talking about, we're going to look for one market so we can staff up in that area. I know a lot of you guys are like buying in multi-states. For me, it just doesn't seem like the most conservative approach, especially when you have LPs involved to just scatter things.
Let's stay on that one for a second. So why? I'm right here.
Right.
Why? Why do you feel like you need to go outside of Texas?
Yeah, so you think about RV parks, right? RV parks is not multifamily, it's not single family. There's not one on every single corner, and we're extremely picky on our buy box, right? We want to hit, certain types of assets, and so there's only so many major metros in Texas, and there's only, in San Antonio where we live, we have San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, are kind of our hotbeds right now, but we're going to run out of deal flow. So if we're going to scale up to 11 Class A, high-level parks, we're going to need to stretch outside of Texas.
So, okay, I'm going to challenge you, because is that your truth or is that the truth? Meaning, you and I talked about this, and I've had the same conversation about what separate fact from fiction, right? How many parks specifically in Texas right now fit your buy box, whether they're on the market or not? How many exist in Texas today? What is your addressable market? Do you know that number, the exact number of parks?
Do not.
Okay, so that's where I'm going. Okay? You have no business, zero. Mind you, you and I have talked about this, but everybody write this down. I want you to put 3 boxes on a piece of paper. And the first one, I want you to put RGA. The next one, I want you to put OPT. And the next one, I want you to put AMP. Every business goes through one of these 3 phases or is in a state of one of these. One is revenue generation. That is the first one, phase 1. That's the hustler mode, right? The next one is you move into optimization. I got to get this. Optimization is very simple, meaning how do I produce the outcome in an intentional way without me, period. Then, when all that's done, then amplification, last box, is now how do I understand, I got the business, I got the machine. Do I need to go into other markets? Do I need to go, could I take this machine and apply it to different asset classes? Would this machine be different size parks, different buy boxes, right? The whole amplification is a product of the optimization. You're literally just beginning and really getting down in the weeds of the optimization phase. You're in it. Like, by your own admission, been raising money now for a year, right? I'm just now really understanding how to deal with investors. I'm just now getting my corporate structure in place. I'm just now really believing in myself to where this shit is actually fucking real. And I'm seeing the fruits of my labor, and I'm about to have a $150 million business very, very quickly. To take your eye off the ball when you're in the optimization right now would be a big mistake. You're trying to potentially jump to the amplification, and you don't even have this thing. Marcus is a major, major driver and component of this business right now. Without Marcus, it doesn't exist. So in the optimization phase is, how do I get all of this? How do I make this all happen methodically, intentionally, predictably, but without me? And I don't mean it without you like you're not going to do it. I just mean you have the option, right? I think Adam and I were talking about this. I know how much you love this, and I want you to do it for the rest of your life, but I want you to do it if you want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do it because you have to do it. There's a massive fucking difference. And so for me, when I see that, that scares the piss out of me, because I know everything about what's going on in your world. We talk all the time. To me, 1, you need to stay on the optimization. 2, if you're going to consider that, go separate fact from fiction. Your truth is not necessarily the truth. Like, how many opportunities are there in the state of Texas? Oh, well, there's 1,400 parks that hit our buy box, okay? And you're trying to add 10. Bitch, shut the fuck up and buckle down and go do what you got to do right here. Because by your own admission, I can go make a $13 million offer and 1 year later, get it under contract at $9 million. I'd be peppering every single one of them until they come around.
Yeah.
Because once they do, there's plenty of fruit right here for you. And again, I may be wrong. My point is, you don't know.
Figured out, yeah.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
And then once you know, then you develop a strategy around it. Because I can assure you that any challenges you're having at a local level, they will be 10 times what they are the moment you try to get outside of a place that's within a 3-hour drive, 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive, right? It'll get infinitely harder. There's a whole nother set of challenges that you still got to get through the challenges of getting this thing before you go and talk about the challenges of, well, what if I did it in Louisiana? Or what if I do it in Florida? Like, shit'll get real messy real quick. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. That's why I've got responsible growth, and so I appreciate that. We'll get those answers next week. Thank you, Kent.
Yep.
Yes, sir. What's up, Jason?
So I have a comment. Obviously, we talk a lot about your business. Similar comment to what Kent just said. Going outside of the Texas market would scare me as well. I think you know the Texas market very, very well. My question is more so, have you looked at any other sites that can be really good locations that can be converted into RV parks that may not be an RV park? That's what I really looked at. I'm like, instead of going outside of Texas, are there any other current real estate uses that aren't doing well, that are really a good location where you can convert into an RV park, and what does that process look like from a zoning standpoint? It can simply be a parking lot. It could be an old dying strip mall. It could be, an old school that the municipality wants to just get off their books. So I would look at, other real estate plays in the good markets that you're already in that can easily be converted into an RV park. And I think you can get a good deal on it, because if it's a distressed asset, they're not going to be asking top dollar for it. They're not even going to be asking mid-tier dollar for it. They're just looking to get it off their books. So if you buy something for $1 million and you put $1 million into it, you got $2 million in, now it's worth $3 or $4 million. And the location is great, so you're going to have people that want to come and frequent that location. Yeah. So I think distressed assets that can be converted into RV parks in a great location, that would be a strategy that I would look at.
You hit the nail on the head. Zoning, the reason we only play in major metros is there's scarcity of supply. Because zoning doesn't allow, you can't go into Dallas proper and build an RV park today. You can't do that in Austin or San Antonio. And so we have limited supply, right? Higher demand. So the tough part is acquiring land in a desirable area. You're not, it's almost impossible to achieve that zoning. Now I need to get with Brady. Where's Brady at? But Brady will be able to find that land, to your point. Like, yeah, we could get a little more gritty looking for these things, because I don't mind developing. Developing is just, when I did that for the first 10 years, it's just extremely slow. 8, 12 months of entitlement, 12 months of construction, 12 months to infill. You have 3 years in this. And then I have LP investors, right? So that's the other side of this, is having LP investors, right? You have either patient capital or you have capital that wants to have, immediate returns on their money. And for us, a lot of our people love that. But then again, there's a lot of people that might have patient capital as well. So we'll look into that. Yes, sir.
Have you looked at severely distressed mobile home parks? I'm asking for myself as well.
Mobile home?
To convert, rip all the trailers off and convert to RV parks?
Yeah, the difference is the amperage on the slot. So you have normally like maybe a 200 amp service on a mobile home. So you could dial that back. It's just, it depends on, again, going back to your investors, or is that patient capital or not? Because then I don't go after that. We're going to evict everybody, get rid of everybody. I'm going to dump $2 million CapEx into this, and then we're going to pray that we can fill it, and then our investors will get a return. That's my only holdback on that, because you're swinging for the fence. A lot of you can do it, but we prefer to just hit the doubles, right, and keep going.
So a comment that I had regarding what you were mentioning regarding development, and I know you said that's not something you're trying to do, and your business model right now is picking up cash flowing assets day one, right? With respect to your personal cash or your co-GPs or whatever the case is, number one, Kent made a good point that you haven't identified how many available properties there are, and you don't know what number to target. Okay, so that's very important to identify. Second, in my opinion, because one of the things we're doing very successfully is we're identifying properties. Obviously, we want a quick flip, right? We want a quick turn, we want a quick build. But when we're developing, if you can identify that property, it doesn't cost nearly as much, right, for you to be able to lock up that property and go through that entitlement play. So it's not that you're abandoning one prospect, is you're incubating your deals because you made the comment that you're deal sourcing or you're trying to find more properties, there's limited inventory. Through the development, you can create that inventory that doesn't cost that much, and a value proposition for you. For example, if you acquire a piece of lot under contract for $1 million, you know, you put 200 grand into the entitlement as an example. Once it's entitled, it's valued at $4 million before you do any of that work. That $4 million valuation, that's your profit. So when you start raising that capital for that new development, now you just created $2 or $3 million worth of equity for yourself. So you're paying yourself back when you're raising the capital because that valuation's now at 4. So
Because you've done the entitlement on
Right,
the
'cause
front
you
end prior to bringing in capital?
Correct, right? So you're now not bringing that to your investors at 1 or 1.2 million. You're bringing it to your investors at the $4 million mark. So when you raise that capital, now you have a huge capital infusion, at which point you can reinvest into that deal or amplify your acquisitions.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, abandoning one, it's incubating and adding, you're creating your future portfolio, your future inventory.
Yeah, and you can always exit, just sell the entitled land if need be. I'm going to jump to the next point here in 2 seconds. Yes, sir, David?
So, okay, great, it's on now. So you've got a really successful business model, and you've emphasized that really where you guys bring value is optimizing the management of these properties, right? You got mom and pops that really aren't optimized at all. And one of the core ways you guys optimize management of the properties is sharing resources for managing those properties across all the different properties because they're all located in Texas. How are you going to recreate that if suddenly you've got properties in Tennessee? Are you going to create a new management company out there? I mean, to me, it sounds like you're losing the benefit of gaining volume. As long as you keep everything tight in Texas, those resources continue, and that becomes more and more and more optimized, more and more profitable over time. As soon as you start expanding your portfolio to other geographies, you're essentially rebuilding from scratch that same model, and so you're not gaining the optimization benefits of the volume you're generating.
Correct. You'd have to rinse and repeat that model higher up in that market, David. And then the main thing is that's why I said instead of scattering out multiple states, you pick one state, and we're picking off assets that are close in a geographical area, so we can achieve scale by having the one manager that will manage 3 parks, the one maintenance guy that will,
All right,
that point.
let's transition number 2.
Okay, real quick. So number 2, we've got amazing capital partners, right? Started raising capital 24. Smaller checks now, we're having $1.5, $2 million checks. Some of those are in this room as $100,000 minimum, but we're still looking to keep up with our growth, like continuing to build additional, stronger capital partners, whether that be, I think Brandon Brinningham was talking about a mastermind, like a family office mastermind. Maybe a lot of you that have funds, we're in conversations about like a fund-to-fund type structure as well too. So yes, sir.
So you're tapping into the retail channel is what it's called, right? High net worth, accredited investor, 506C, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I do the same, and what I realize is you can have a funnel, you can raise those onesie, twosies, 100,000, 250, 500. As it's scaling, you need to get in front of these RIAs, registered investment advisors, and broker dealers. And how you do that, and I'm literally finalizing this as we speak, because we were taking our fund from like 10 million to 50 million. And I was like, how are we going to do this? Because I can do 10 on my own. Yeah. How can I get to 50? And so you're going to engage a managing broker dealer, is what it's called. And the managing broker dealer is going to represent you and go out to all these RIAs and broker dealers and basically say, I've got this wonderful product on my platform. Now, you're going to need what's called a MIC report, M-I-C-K, from MIC Law, okay, out of Omaha, Nebraska. And I can put you in touch with anybody else wants that intro, no problem. MIC's going to look at your offering, your PPM, and underwrite it and look at it. And they've looked at hundreds of these. And they're going to put an opinion letter together. And that's what these broker dealers and RAs need to basically say, checks the box. MIC's got an approved MIC report. So having that managing broker dealer on the front end, and right now how we're trading these guys, they want 3% commission on every dollar raised. And then they said they want $15,000 a month as consulting. So I'm looking at it as like 4% of the total dollar raised, but they want to go raise 50 million.
Sure.
and tap on these RIAs that each one, once I get on their platform, each one will do 5 to 10 million bucks with all their individual investors that they have their book of business with. So I may do a webinar with just that RIA group, and they'll have all their investors on, and next thing you know, 5, 10 million will come in from that specific RIA group. So I think that that's how you need to be kind of looking at it if you want to continue with the retail. I love the retail channel because you control the deal. You know, family office, it starts getting, they're going to want probably a debt deal with some upside equity kicker. Private equity will give you a lot of money, but they control 100% of the deal, and they will have their pound of flesh at the end. So I don't,
So that was
I
a
don't like all that.
good share, Jace. We're just running out of time.
That's, what was your name? I'm sorry.
Jace Graham,
Ace, okay.
lovely and talented, back from Dallas, Texas. So look, we're down to a minute. So I know that was quick. We had to go all the way through this. What are your big 2-3 things you want to get accomplished between?
So definitely rolling out Jace's structure that he was talking about.
Okay.
Connect with, it was RA, you said?
Yeah, RIA channel.
All right, and then the next one is we're rolling out our call center. So again, back to the point of David's point of achieving scale, not paying people to answer phones at every single park, having a call center where I can have, 2-3 girls. So execute the call center, and what else was it? We need to implement our new CRM and identify and implement that.
Identify and implement.
Yeah, so
in 90 days.
Those three, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're good.
guy.
And lastly, anybody, naturally, if we're talking about raising capital, right? Class A asset, El Camino, this is in Austin, Texas. This was the $13 million offer, now a $9 million offer. So anybody needing depreciation, cash flow, appreciation, you can scan the QR code and we can connect later on. Thank you guys so much.